I found it tucked within the brittle pages of a forgotten archive, a coded message hinting at a sleeper and a warden. The paper felt strangely cold, almost expectant. It wasn't the content itself, but the way it felt meant for my eyes, a summons across decades. What secret was hidden in these old files? And why did it feel like it was meant for me? I am Elias Thorne, an archivist. Meticulous, some would say obsessive. But a past failure clings to me like dust, a lost document, a ruined reputation. A simple misfiling, they called it. I call it a catastrophe. The coded message, though, it felt like a chance at redemption, a way to prove my worth, to restore what was lost. It was a lifeline thrown into a sea of regret. The message led me to Blackstone Cemetery, a place time forgot. Overgrown, neglected, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. The wrought iron gates groaned in protest as I pushed them open, a sound that echoed the unease settling in my stomach. It wasn't just a graveyard. It was a place that actively repelled life. The grave itself was almost invisible, swallowed by weeds and shadow. A single, weathered stone, barely legible, Silas Blackwood, 1848. The inscription felt wrong. Not the letters themselves, but the weight of them, the sense of something ancient and malevolent clinging to the name. An inexplicable dread washed over me, a cold wave that prickled my skin. Then the phone call came. Anonymous, distorted, a voice identifying itself only as the curator. The offer was simple, almost absurd. Substantial pay for watching the grave, night after night. Just watching. No explanation, no details. It was ludicrous, yet the money was tempting, and the mystery irresistible. Who is the curator? And why are they willing to pay so much for something that seems so pointless? The first night was the hardest. I set up camp near the grave, armed with a flashlight, a thermos of coffee, and a worn copy of Poe. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. I began a journal, documenting my observations, trying to rationalize the growing sense of unease. It was a way to maintain control, to prove to myself this was just a job. I noticed it subtly at first. The local wildlife avoided the area around Blackwood's grave. No birds sang, no squirrels scampered, not even insects dared to venture near. The air felt colder there, even on a warm night. I dismissed it as imagination, the product of an overactive mind. But the feeling persisted, a nagging doubt that refused to be silenced. Local legends painted Silas Blackwood as a disgraced occultist, a man who delved into forbidden knowledge. Whispers of dark rituals, of a binding and a sleeper, a being of immense power held captive beneath the earth. The stories were dismissed as folklore, but they resonated with the unsettling atmosphere of the cemetery, adding another layer to the mystery. That night, I dreamt of Blackwood. A vivid, disturbing vision of him performing a ritual under a blood-red moon, chanting in a language I didn't understand, yet somehow knew. A shadowy figure was restrained, struggling against its bonds, its eyes burning with an ancient rage. The dream felt real, too real. I tried to contact the curator, to demand answers, but the line was dead. No dial tone, no message, just silence. I felt increasingly isolated, cut off from the world, a lone sentinel guarding a forgotten grave. The weight of the unknown pressed down on me, suffocating me with fear. Driven by a desperate need to understand, I discovered a hidden compartment within the gravestone itself. It was cleverly concealed, almost invisible to the untrained eye. Inside, a collection of strange artifacts, a tarnished silver locket, a leather-bound journal filled with indecipherable symbols, and a single, dried black rose. The journal was the key. The symbols, though complex, yielded to my linguistic skills. Blackwood wasn't just practicing occultism. He was attempting to contain something. A powerful entity, a being from another dimension, a creature of unimaginable darkness. The binding was a ritual to imprison it, to prevent it from unleashing chaos upon the world. The entity began to exert its influence. Strange weather patterns, unsettling visions, a growing sense of paranoia. Shadows seemed to move on their own. Whispers echoed in the wind, and I felt constantly watched, as if something was probing my mind. It was subtle, insidious, a slow descent into madness. Then the ground began to tremble. A low, guttural rumble that resonated deep within my bones. Cracks appeared in the earth around Blackwood's grave, widening with each passing moment. And then I saw it. A skeletal hand, pale and decaying, emerging from the darkness, reaching for me. I frantically dialed the curator's number, desperate for answers, for help. But the voice that answered was no longer human. Distorted, inhuman, it simply said, "The time has come." The line went dead, leaving me alone in the darkness, facing an unimaginable horror. I understood then. I wasn't guarding the grave. I was maintaining the binding. I was a pawn, a tool in a much larger game, a sacrifice to appease a monstrous entity. The artifacts from the hidden compartment, the locket, the journal, the rose, they weren't relics. They were components of a desperate counter-ritual. I attempted to reinforce the binding, using the artifacts, channeling my knowledge, pouring all my energy into the task. It was a desperate struggle against the entity's growing power, a battle for my sanity, for my life, for the fate of the world. I managed to temporarily contain it, but at a great cost. I am injured, weakened, and the binding is failing. The entity is almost free. The tremors are growing stronger, the cracks in the earth are widening, and the air is thick with a palpable sense of dread. I can feel its presence, a cold, malevolent force that threatens to consume me. There is one final measure, a self-sacrificing ritual detailed in Blackwood's journal. It will likely cost me my life, but it's the only chance to contain the entity, to prevent it from escaping. I've written a final journal entry, detailing my regrets, my hopes, my fears. It's a farewell to a world I may never see again. The ritual is complete. It worked, but not as I hoped. The entity is not destroyed, merely contained for now. I am left alive, but irrevocably changed, burdened with the knowledge of what lies beneath Blackstone Cemetery. The tremors have subsided, but the silence is more terrifying than any noise. Blackstone Cemetery still stands. The curator is still out there. What do you think happened to Silas Blackwood? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more dark mysteries. But be warned, some secrets are better left buried.